It's no secret that the Turkish lira has had a rocky start to 2021. Despite logging positive growth during a global pandemic, currency markets weren't kind to the lira. Speculation and a mix of politics pushed it to record lows. But now there could be some relief. Turkey's central bank governor recently announced that talks are ongoing with 4 countries to enter a currency swap scheme. Such a plan would allow 2 countries to trade using their own currencies and rely less on the US dollar. The announcement comes on the heels of an agreement between Turkey and China that will more than double their existing currency swap deal to $6 billion US dollars. So, are currency swaps a way for Turkey to boost its trade and avoid being at the mercy of speculators? And can doing business in local currencies diffuse volatility and provide more stable trade? And to answer that, joining me from Beijing is Aynar Tengen. He is a political and economic affairs commentator. And from Istanbul, Ozan Özkural. He is the CEO of Tanto Capital Partners. Gentlemen, welcome to Straight Talk. It's good to have you on the program. Aynar, Turkey and China have agreed to increase an existing currency swap deal to $6 billion. What does that mean? And what are the pros and cons of swap deals?
Well, a swap deal allows you to fix your exchange rate, and you don't have to do, a third-party exchange rate, which means that you don't have to put it in dollars. With the volatility in dollars, with the weakness of the lira, this is a real lifeline for Turkish businessmen who are trying to do business as opposed to engage in forex. So very important for both countries. It's really very important to Beijing also. They've put in $3.5 trillion worth of swaps as of 2020. It looks like that is going to continue to go up, and that's part of the internationalization of the yuan.
So, Ozan, Turkey began using the yuan to pay for Chinese imports last year. How has trading in local currencies helped boost their trade ties, and what's next moving forward?
Look, I mean, being able to use yuan is definitely an advantage when dealing with a major consuming power trade partner like China. And to the earlier comments, I mean, a common reason to employ a currency swap is also to secure cheaper debt. You borrow also directly from a foreign nation, which, if you remember, during 2008, the Federal Reserve allowed several developing countries facing some liquidity issues to go and actually do a currency swap with the country. So when you take account of the fact that we can trade in yuan, the fact that we may get our hands on to some amount of additional liquidity, which I believe the CBRT will also look to bridge the gap until the tourism season kicks in, to be able to sustain the levels of current account deficit that we have, is all very positive indeed.
So, Aynar, Turkey is currently in talks with 4 unnamed countries for currency swap deal. Which types of countries are ideal for these types of schemes?
Well, ideally, it's countries that Turkey has good trade relations with. It's a way of shoring up your foreign reserves. And as I said, getting away from the volatility that's currently implicit because of the lira's drop, the US dollar's uncertainty, and a rising yuan. So with China, it was the rising yuan, which I think was attracting people. They can put that in there at a fixed rate from the Turkish side. Outside of that, I would expect this to be happening with every major trade partner that Turkey has. So maybe Russia, maybe some of the stands, etc.
Ozan, the Turkish economy grew by 7%. Is this growth pace sustainable? And are we seeing the effects and negative impacts of the pandemic fading away nowadays?
Look, I mean, that's a loaded question. The answer to your second question is, are we seeing the full impact of the pandemic adversely? We are not seeing it anywhere in the world, let alone Turkey. But we can say this. Turkey is always, and recently anyway, an outlier in positive growth terms in terms of looking at the emerging market spectrum. I think that's driven by a very healthy kind of market internally that likes to spend. Obviously, with a cheaper lira as well, our exporters have been able to export much more, so they're having a field day. But all in all, the kind of reports on the growth numbers that Turkey has posted, and actually, if you look at the Q2 numbers that are supposed to come up looks like it's going to pose is definitely a very positive differentiator when you look at both the EM countries and also the developed nations around the world.
So, Aina, Turkey's trade relationship with China is marked by a massive $18 billion trade deficit. How could this situation be reversed or be more balanced?
Well, that's where this currency swap could help, because it makes it a lot easier for both countries to do trade with one another. Obviously, the cheaper lira is going to be attractive to the extent that Turkey has things that can go into China's market. But there are many things where Turkey has traditionally been part of a supply chain. For instance, the hand-carved chairs, which used to go to Italy, could easily be go directly to China as opposed to an intermediary, realizing larger profits. And this is really where there has to be some sort of benefit to Turkish things. Turkish companies, they have to develop their brands and brand awareness within China. Given that, and the turn away from American products and some European products, definitely Australian products, there should be real market opportunities there. But like I said, it takes a little trust, understanding, and the currency swap is definitely going to help. You've seen a 44% increase in the first quarter of this year in terms of trade. That is remarkable. It's not all going one way. It was up to 8 billion during the first quarter, and a substantial part of that is, well, a larger part of that is going towards Turkey's favor.
So I now just mentioned it, but Ozan, apart from its traditional products, where do you think Turkey could expand its span when Chinese sectors are concerned?
I mean, look, again, China is no longer a cheap production country. It's an incredibly heavy consumption country, whether it's luxury brands and actually any kind of a product across a different wide spectrum of sectors. Now, I think the opportunity here is also is going to be within the context of the rising geopolitical tensions between China and the US, which has a potential risk of a spillover to the European Union nations. It's not going to be an easy dialogue to manage going forward. And there, in certain products and sectors where either the US or most reluctantly Europe may be tempted to reduce their trade dialogue with China, I think those are the areas that Turkey can step in. Because frankly, Turkey can produce many of the products that these American and European Union countries already sell to China.
So, Einar, where do Turkish entrepreneurs mostly invest in China? And is it easy to invest in China?
Well, I don't know that there's that much investment in China directly. In terms of ease, it's getting easier to set up a company in China, and to either do a WOFE, a wholly owned foreign entity, is now very easy. If you have all your papers in place, you can do it in one day at any one of these centers. China's also been rising in terms of its ability as a place to do business. So things are changing here. The question is not so much, I don't know, about investing in China, although absolutely an option, but getting trade with China, getting goods from Turkey to be very attractive to the Chinese consumers. I agree with Ozan. It's really about right now taking advantage of political tensions between the developed countries and China. And if they are able to do that and see the opportunities, there will be an ample market.
So since we talk about the global tensions, how could a Turkey, a NATO ally, Ozan, strike a balance amidst this the US-China rivalry?
Look, I think by first acknowledging that rivalry is set to continue, but Turkey's unique position is really its geography. And it's not an easy act. It's not an easy balancing act, but it is one that actually gives Turkey quite a lot of power if done correctly. It's completely natural for Turkey to look 360. I mean, no one says, look, don't do business with the US or Europe and just do it with China or Russia or somewhere else. But, just because of its geostrategical location, rather, and also the heavy industries that Turkey has, I think being able to, over time, step by step, increase the trade dialogue between the two countries will also make Turkey a more potent player in being able to become the go-to nation in, if necessary, intermediating certain discussions between the West and China.
So, Einar, how could Turkey's position in the Belt and Road Initiative determine the trajectory of Beijing's future foreign policy as it seeks to connect with Europe?
Well, that's very important because, as Anne said, Turkey is in a unique geographical position. North Africa, Middle East, and Europe are all within its grasp, and not to mention the stands and Russia. So, Beijing is going to be looking for assurances that this is going to be a long-term cooperation, that there will not be a sudden shift to the U.S.-European side. And I think it's not necessary. NATO is not an economic unit. It's a self-defense unit. I don't think anybody in Turkey believes that they're under a direct threat from invasion from China. So with that in mind, as long as these two sides can talk and assure each other that there is a future trade relationship, and that a lot of that's going to depend on China opening doors to Turkish products, not in terms of making people buy them, but making sure that Turkish businessmen have equal access to the markets. If that continues, there will be a good codependency, a win-win situation, and things can go forward.
Okay, so Ozan, how could a close-knit trade relations between Turkey and China impact a wider region, let's say from the Caucasus to the Middle East and from Central Asia and even to the Black Sea?
No, look, I mean, it's crucial, kind of picking up on the point before. Turkey is very well placed to be a much more prominent leading nation within the region. I mean, because of its connectivity role. And as China looks to expand its influence in our geography, Turkey can end up becoming a more prominent partner in being able to facilitate that expansion. Now, there are certain areas that need to be picked up that may end up becoming an obstacle in that. And number one that I'm thinking of is the whole Uyghur Muslim issue within China. And those will not be easy issues. So I think step number one is to really take a look at both the challenges and the opportunities within the briefs of both countries, very transparent and frankly,
yes.
And then trying to build a road through together.
All right, gentlemen, we'll have to leave it here. Thank you very much for joining us on Straight Talk.